Every once in a while for a journalist, there comes a story which bothers you at many levels. With reporting so many instances, news breaks, politics, crime, a journalist tends to get a little jaded. But once in a while, there'll be a story which will come and irk you, which will want to, make you go that extra mile. A journalist should go that extra mile, but I would reckon it's an oxymoron. But, would want for you, like it hits home, it's too close to the bone. And why do I say that? That one story, after a very long time, which has completely depressed me, frustrated me, is making me ask the viewer, which is you, a pertinent question: is the Bilkis Bano gang rape case. For once, I want to request all of you who are watching, just for once, I know it's difficult in this time and age, but for once, let's not talk or think about politics. Let's not think about ideology, agenda, ecosystems, cabals, coteries. These are very common words nowadays, especially on social media. Let's pull away from all of that. And I want to ask you one question. And that question is, as a country, India, are we now going to celebrate rapists and murderers? It's a question. Think about it. Don't think about your politics. It's difficult. Try. Why do I say that? I want to take you back. I was a reporter on the field for 14 days on the Jyoti Pandey gang rape case. For those of you unfamiliar of who Jyoti Pandey was, Jyoti Pandey's death and suffering gave birth to Nirbhaya. Let me go back. I still remember I was in the studio 16th December, if I'm not wrong, 16th December 2012. A girl was found naked in South Delhi. She was gang raped in a bus by 6 men. One of them was a juvenile, and left to die. Her injuries, she was mutilated with iron rod where her private parts were concerned. She was badgered, mutilated, in bad shape. And I remember for 14 days this story caught the imagination of not just the media but the nation. I saw an entire country change as I reported from day 1 to day 14, because as much as Jyoti fought, on the 14th day Jyoti died because her injuries were so grievous. She wanted to live. It's something we reported on, and it was a story which broke me at a level. They say with journalism, with emotions as humans, there is one instance, one story will break you for good, and then everything seems okay. After that, every story is dealable. This story had broken me as a journalist then. And I remember I saw India change, and I remember how Jyoti Pandey in her death suffering gave birth to Nirbhaya. Nirbhaya then became, or what Jyoti was called as Nirbhaya, but it also became that watershed moment in India which changed rape laws, which changed the way India thought about rape. It changed all of us who were out on the streets demanding in unison, and I want to underline that line, in unison, death penalty for the rapists. I want to ask you all, because most of you are familiar with Nirbhaya. What if, viewers, what if Nirbhaya's rapists, 6 of them, one of them of course was a juvenile, he was let go after rehabilitation, but 5 of them were hanged to death. What if they were given life? And what if, it's been 10 years from Nirbhaya, it's 2022. What if in the next 5 years, all 5 of them walked free? What if all 5 of them, when they walked out of jail, were garlanded and fed sweets, as if they were heroes, given a hero's welcome? It's unimaginable, right? It would be the biggest travesty. It would be a betrayal of the memory of Nirbhaya. It would be a betrayal of all of us who were out on the streets asking for justice. Unimaginable, unthinkable, but it is both. It is imaginable, it is thinkable. Why would I say that? I'd take you now to 2022, and I will take you to an instance that happened 10 years before Nirbhaya, 2002, Bilkis Bano gang rape case. It was during the 2002 Gujarat riots. Bilkis was 21-year-old. She was 5 months pregnant. She was trying to escape the communal violence as it peaked in her village. She was in a field with her relatives. She was attacked by a mob of men with sickles and swords. She had a 3-year-old baby girl, Saleha, in her arms, 3-year-old child, a baby. That baby was taken away from her The head of that child was crushed. That child was murdered. She saw her mother, her two sisters being gang raped, murdered. She saw 7 members of her family, all of them murdered. 11 men then took turns to gang rape a 5-month pregnant Bilkis Bano in that field. Bilkis Bano, she was unconscious. She woke up hours later, got some clothes from an Adivasi woman who had chanced upon her, went to a police station, lodged a complaint. The CBI reports the complaint at that point of time because it was communally so polarized that time. The complaint was taken and fabricated in a lot of ways. This is what the CBI says. Long drawn, protracted battle. All 11 of the accused of gang rape of Bilkis, gang rape of her mother, of her sister, and the murder of 14 people. The murderers of 14 people, including 3-year-old Bilkis's daughter. All of them were given the death sentence. Death sentence meant they'd spend their life in prison in the current context of the law. But under the remission policy of the Gujarat government, all of them were prematurely released, which was shocking. It happened on Independence Day. Sometimes news reports come, the irony of it is drawn further on the days that it happened. This happened on Independence Day, that they were given remission, all of them. They walked free. It would shock and awe all of us that rapists, as a crime as heinous as this, murderers would walk free and the government would give them remission. That aside, imagine all 11 of them were welcomed with garlands, given a hero's welcome, fed sweets by the Vishwa Hindu Parishad. The question why I draw these two comparisons, viewers, is why are we so fickle today? India stood together demanding the death penalty for Nirbhaya. We made sure it happened. We made sure that the case was cracked because the pressure was so much by the civil society, by all of us out on the roads. It was very difficult for a journalist also to report the story without any bias. We all had Nirbhaya's. We were all standing in Nirbhaya's corner. Now, what's the difference? Where is the outrage? Is it okay? And I will ask that question again by you, no matter what your politics is, that you see and look the other way when gang rapists and murderers are garlanded, given a hero's welcome, their pictures taken, them being fed laddus. It bothered me extremely. It should bother all of us if we have a conscience. I'm no one to define moral reference points of any of you, but this should bother you. There's some things which are just wrong. And it irks me, and I'm sure it irks a lot of you, that it doesn't bother most of us today because we don't see that kind of outrage. Why no outrage? These are polarizing times. A lot of people will give a communal charge to all of this, that maybe, Bilkis Bano, 2002 riots. One shouldn't look at it like that. Some things are beyond religion, I would hope, but I guess not. Having said that, I want to, also now talk about the politics of it. This was when we didn't talk about the politics of it. In terms of the politics, viewers, the Congress on a national level is making this an issue. They are raising the moral question of it, that how can any political party, in whatever opposition that it might lie on, how can any political party not raise their voice against the remission given by the Gujarat government. Many of us would completely agree with that. Many of us would stand right next to that. Yes, that the Gujarat government shouldn't have given remission to gang rapists and murderers of 3-year-old children as well. But, and it needs to be said. And why it needs to be said, viewers, is that the Gujarat, that the Gujarat Congress unit has not said a word. It's happening on a national level. Why? Because in 2 months there are elections in Gujarat. Every political party which has skin in the game in the Gujarat elections is mum. Aam Aadmi Party has actively attacked the Bharatiya Janata Party on every count. Not a word on Bilkis Bano's gang rape. Not a word, because Aam Aadmi Party is for the first time entering the political arena of Gujarat. The state Congress unit will not say anything. Nationally, you will see press conferences after press conferences. The Bharatiya Janata Party, viewers, has not said a word, be it on a national level or be it on a state level. Now, the BJP, when you ask them, has maintained that, listen, this was This was the Supreme Court saying that remission can be given. Then the plea came in, and under the remission policy, the Gujarat government went ahead and gave it. They have nothing to do with it. I want to, just possibly end. I was hoping not to deliver a monologue, but to just end with this, with what late last night, Bilkis, because all of these 11 are going back to the village where Bilkis Bano still stays with her husband and her children. Bilkis Bano released a letter last night because she was in shock. Depression is what we heard. We didn't hear from her. Her husband said that they had absolutely no idea. They were never even consulted before the murderers and the gang rapists were set free. But Bilkis Bano has released a statement, and I just want to read that out, and I want to end with that. And she says that she's lost faith in law, and she's hoping that these rapists would once again be taken in and arrested. She says, "How can justice for any woman end like this? I trusted the highest courts in our land. I trusted the system. I trusted the people, and I was learning slowly to live with my trauma. The release of these convicts has taken from me my peace, shaken my faith in justice. My sorrow and my unwavering faith is not for myself alone, but for every woman who is struggling for justice in courts. No one inquired about my safety and well-being before taking such an unjust decision. I appeal to the Gujarat government. Please undo this harm. Give me back my right to live without fear and in peace. Please ensure that me and my family are kept safe." And I would hope this plea by Bilkis Bano, and she shouldn't be making it, burns into the memory space of possibly every Indian, because whatever side of the political divide one might stand on, this is not about politics. If you don't raise your hand now, you have no right to raise your hand on any other incident. We leave it at that. I hope you mull over it. I hope it makes you think.